He's a simple man that comes from a simple upbringing, and he learned to do the things which he could not afford to pay for. You cannot call him silly, stupid, or foolish when the rest of us call him the MFDM. But there's one thing that we can say, is that he may have built the most beautiful Volkswagen the world has ever seen.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we're going to try to give a little bit of fan service here for the stuff that people keep asking me about Eleanore and what they'd like to see, and why I haven't worked on her in the last, almost 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks since she's been home. It's been quite a while. Well, the truth is, the weather, and this car for some reason always draws rain. The sky was completely blue when I rolled her outside. Now it looks like it's going to rain again. It's just this car is a magnet for weather, and if you know her history, that's exactly what happened to her. Hurricane Ivan got this car, soaked her under 6 feet of seawater, completely rusted the car out, and I was the only one that was actually going to take it on. And here she is today. Total transformation. But because of the rain, I have not been able to work on this car. Every time that I find free time, what happens? The sky opens up and it rains. And it happened last night also. Ruby is also one for rain. It hasn't rained in almost a week. I took Ruby out and went inside to take a shower real quick to leave for dinner. Come outside, Ruby soaked in rain. Never fails. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about some of the things that people want to see. And what people keep asking about is stuff like trim work. I did put a handle on here on the front. It was a little bit of a battle. Main reason why is because these are aftermarket parts. This handle is aftermarket. This part up under here is aftermarket. And the bolts that came with everything, including the seals, which came from 3 different companies, they're all different parts and they don't all fit right. Why? I don't know. I can't explain it. But the bolts were too short. The seal doesn't even fit. You see the gap all the way around it? It managed to center itself, and after I tightened it down, it's kind of interesting that it pinched. Maybe that's part of the design. I'm sure in time it will probably shrink, but this is just not what I consider Eleanore quality. Is there something on there? Yeah, a little booger stuck on there. This is not what I consider Eleanore quality. I will get another seal for this and fix it. The bottom seal, however, that one fit just fine. Everything's okay down there. However, that bolt was also too short. But I got that to work, and the reason why I did that first is because I wanted a way to easily open and close this hood. I didn't want to be grabbing paint with dirty, greasy hands or however else. Just the handle is there for a reason. Let's put it on. Let's use it. Now, the diapers are still on this car. The reason for that is because I don't have the seals yet from Earl. Earl left some of the hood seals. They fell down behind one of his toolboxes when the car got shipped out, so the seals never made their way here. He's got them sent in a box. They might even be here today. I haven't checked my mailbox yet. But as soon as they're here and I can put the seal on the hood, then we're going to remove the diaper. It's kind of funny that there's a wee pad on both ends of the car, but that's to stop the paint on paint contact. And of course, once I have a proper seal on there, that will resolve that problem. There was a little scuff mark over here where the hood was actually making a little bit of contact that it shouldn't have been, and hopefully the seal will sit in the trough over there and solve that. Looks like we got a little tape residue over here I need to clean off also. No big deal. So anyway, we'll get back to that. But people keep asking questions about trim. And if you guys know me, you've been watching me for a while, you know, I don't like to work on trim until the last part, and I don't even like to talk about it. And I got people asking me, hey, Duckman, you know, when are you going to put your stereo in? What kind of stereo are you going to put in there? I don't know. I don't care. Actually, I think the flat 4 engine is all the music that I need. To be quite honest with you, I'll be more than overjoyed with just the sound of an engine. I don't usually run a car stereo, even in Big Blue over there. I don't run the car stereo a whole lot unless I want to listen to the news or something while I'm on the road. But, yeah, it would be nice to have something. But down the road we'll decide. Right now, it's considered trim. It's trim, and it's not something that I'm to be concerned with at this point. Yeah, I know, this is probably trim also, but it has purpose. The cap was also trim, but it was a gift from a YouTuber. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And, well, we're going to get to a few other things that I consider trim, but are still important for usage on here, so we're going to start installing a few things. But before we get to that, likey, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to plug the dingle bell so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out DuckShit.net for all my different social media links. And please don't mind all the noise that you hear in the background. There's a whole bunch of kids over there to keep screaming. One of them apparently poked their eye out or something, and they were wailing and rolling around on the ground, and it was a severe thing. All of a sudden she opened her eyes, and guess what? There's 2 eyes. Everything's fine. But that's neighborhood nonsense for you. When I have my shop, we won't be dealing with any of that crap because we're going to be so far away from everything else. But anyways, thanks for watching. We'll be back right after the intro. So, about those fenders, why haven't I put them on there yet? The honest answer is it's because the brakes are not done yet. And there's no easier way to work on brakes than without the fender there. I won't be hitting my head on it, I won't be getting my greasy fingerprints all over them, they won't be sticking out as I roll the car in and out of the garage to have an accidental mishap and get all scuffed up. When I'm ready to put the fenders on, I'm going to consider that a trim piece. It's going to be one of the last things to happen on this car. Although I'm, really chomping at the bit to see them on this car, because I have not yet, with my own eyes, seen the fenders on this car since I dropped it off at Earl's place. I've seen it on video, same as you guys have, but every time that he had the fenders on, and I went to visit the shop, he had just pulled them off because he was doing more work to the car. So I always missed it. But I'm looking forward to that. That is something that's coming up. I'm going to have to do a little bit of, well, not big fitment issues, but getting the seals seated in them. Earl paid a lot of extra attention to getting the fender flange nice and straight, so that way when the fenders get bolted up to it, that the gap is consistent all the way along it. That's the kind of attention to detail that's, well, really not necessary. Earl really went above and beyond, because you stuff a rubber gasket in there, and that gap disappears. I mean, unless it's so big that your seal gets eaten up by it, but I don't think the body was quite that bad. But he paid extra attention, especially up in here, because this front end that I put on here was actually from a 69, and one of the giveaways about that is this rain gutter that's in here. 56s didn't have that. Kind of a nice feature for it to be there, but nonetheless, it's not an original 56 because I couldn't afford a 56 front end. Still can't. But this front end was hit. Came from a 69 Beetle. I got cheap. I put it together on here. So some of the stuff on here is a little different. That's one of the reasons why you see bumper brackets on the outside instead of on the inside, although they are on the inside. They are in there. Hey, there's one there, and there's one there. But I put those in. So that way I can mount earlier bumpers through the apron, as was designed on a 56. The idea was to fool everybody. And I think I succeeded. And having that extra gutter up here that I talked about, it's kind of a nice feature because it allows the water to run off the front of the car instead of puddling up against the windshield when you drive it forward. So, whatever it's worth, it helps a little bit. But I won't be driving this thing in too much rain, to be quite honest with you. Earl did say that this door didn't line up as well as one on the driver's side, but if you remember watching the videos of me doing the hidden hinges that are on here, the reason for that is because this is the first one. This is the practice side. This is the side where I took all the measurements and did all the things, testing to make sure that everything was going to work. And then when I figured out what worked, it took me like 3 weeks to do it. I went to the other side and I did that side in one day. And that side came out damn near flawless. Earl really was happy with that side. But it may look like the door doesn't line up completely, and he said one of the reasons for that is because I may have to put a little shim in there, but also when you put the door latch on, it's going to raise the door up anyway when you close it, so I don't think it's too big of a deal. But another thing to consider, instead of playing with those gaps, and this is something I didn't tell Earl, probably something I should have shared with him, and when I get to mounting these body bolts in here, in order to handle the door alignment and even the door gap, you can use certain different size rubber shims to go inside of there, and also in your front body mounts that were way up there by the front beam. It allows you to tweak that car, and it will open and close the gap on the door, as well as the door alignment. So I'm probably not going to mess too much with the hinges. I think I'll make most of my alignments right here in the corners, and once you get those straight, then you bolt the pan on. At that point, everything is settled the way you want it to be. I'm going to start with just putting in the stock mounts and see how everything fits. If that works well enough and I'm satisfied, I'm going to leave it. If not, then I'll play with it a little bit. But I think we're pretty close to where I want to be. So I'm not going to argue with this thing. The thing is just, it's gorgeous. And I don't feel the need to, mess with things that aren't broken, if you know what I mean. Although I kind of did that already by smoothing out those fenders on there. The fixed foot wasn't broken. Did I say fenders? I meant hinges. Alright. Here's my rear hatch. This gets a lot of discussion lately. a lot of new people have been joining us here on my channel and watching that didn't see me put that in. But this was a wonderful feature. It's kind of a feature that, well, Volkswagen did originally design it, but they left it out on later Beetles. And when I said later Beetles, I mean anything from like 53, I think it was. They're real delicate, I'll scratch the paint. But that allows me to get in there to change out the starter. I can remove the CV joints from in here. I can handle the clutch wing nut. All the things that are just a real pain in the ass to do, including that engine bolt that's on this side, that fourth engine bolt that a lot of people leave out because it's too hard to get in. Well, that is now easy to be removed, and you can easily reinstall it just the same from in here. You can get to the D-shaped starter bolt. Here it is, D-shaped there. So if you need to get that in place, it's a shame the oval window will be here, because when you're pulling the engine, it'd be nice to be able to use one hand on the D-bolt to push it in. But anyway, I guess I can always get a pop out from VW Loosenuts, Jeremy over there. Jeremy is actually the recipient of the fenders that were originally on Eleanore. I've discussed that in an earlier video, and Eleanor's fenders actually made a magazine cover on the Dirty Pickle, which is his daughter's car now. Jeremy's a good guy. If you want a pop-out window, I recommend you go to him. He and I already had a discussion about possibly getting one for the front here on Eleanore, but seeing as how none of this is stock and he doesn't have a template for it, the only way for him to do that is to actually have the car in his possession, or I have to somehow make a frame that I can ship off to him so he can send me back the thing. He'll also, I suppose, need the piece of glass also to go in there, because it is a curved windshield. And I say curved, I mean it's the later model curved windshield, not a Super Beetle curve, but the later model curve, which from 65 and up, there's a very, very minor curve in the windshield. I'll demonstrate that. But if you put a level on it, you can actually rock the level back and forth. So, despite what people think having a flat windshield, 65 and up did not. They were actually curved, only by a few degrees, but they were curved. Alright, well, I think I'm at a stopping point. I'm kind of running out of daylight. I didn't have a whole lot of time for this today. I'm just glad the rain stayed up. That's really what was important to me today. Really wanted to get that deck lid on there. That made a big difference to me. And I feel so much better about it. I'm just wanting to deal with that for the last few weeks. I just wanted to have that lid on there. Yeah, that was just important. Really important in my mind and my heart. I just wanted to see that work. As minimal as it is, you know, we all have our things we fixate on. That was mine. And now it's done. Or done enough that it seems like it's going to work. And I'm content. I'm very happy with that.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to likey, comment, and subscribe.